So you got a great deal on a cruise. That's fantastic. But did you know that most cruise lines actually make the bulk of their money from the amount of money that you and I spend once we're on a cruise ship? So in this video, I'm going to be telling you 10 hacks on how to save money once you're on board the cruise. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 realistic, real ways that you can save money on a cruise. And some of these might be familiar, but I'm willing to bet that some of these tips and hacks are really things that you probably haven't heard before. Now I have to tell you a little bit about my story. My husband and I started to cruise, I guess about 15 years ago, and we cruised when our children were young. And one of the things that we used to say is that we were cruising on a camping budget. So I definitely know how to stretch a dollar when I am on a cruise ship. Now, before I get started, I wanted to mention that if you do like this video, if you find it helpful, informative in any way, then please do give the video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. All right, let's get started with those tips right away. Tip number 1, look for ways to save money on drinks, because drinks honestly are going to add up the most on your cruise. Now I am talking to start about alcoholic beverages, so you can look at the beverage packages, see if there's a value for you. If you are a big drinker, there might be, but definitely this is not the frugal or thrifty choice. You'll have to drink, well, probably 6 to 10 drinks a day, every day, just to kind of make it worth it for you. So it honestly probably isn't worth it for somebody who drinks lightly or moderately. Plus, there's another little tip that I'll give you that will actually save you money and you won't have to buy the beverage package. So look first at what is included on a cruise. So what's included is you'll have juice in the morning time, you'll have milk, coffee, tea, all in the main dining room or in the buffet, and a lot of those casual areas. You'll have iced tea, you'll have lemonade. So there's definitely a lot of things that are included. What's not included on most major cruise lines is the soda and of course the alcohol. So if you can forego the soda for a 7-day cruise or so, then you're probably better off doing so. Now, a little tip, you can actually bring soda on many cruise lines. You could bring about 12 cans. So if this is something that you do want to bring, you can check with your cruise line if you are able to do so. Now, something else that you'll want to do is definitely either bring some water bottles on board. Sometimes you can actually bring an entire case on board the cruise ship, or you can bring refillable water bottles. It's definitely worth it to do so, because especially when you get off the cruise ship, you'll want to fill those up on the ship before you go. Each time you get a water bottle on the cruise ship, it's going to run you about $3 to $4 per water bottle. So definitely make sure you have a way to drink water on board without having to pay for that. Now, if you do drink some alcohol, then you'll want to look for some of the specials. So some of the things that you'll find is that you can buy a bucket of beer and you can pay less by buying, let's say, 5 beer for the price of 4. And you can even share that with other people if you like. You can also get 2-for-1 drinks at a different time of the day. Sometimes there's a happy hour special. There will even often be a drink of the day. That is usually about $2 or so cheaper. So that's definitely something that's worth it as well. Of course, you can go to the champagne art auction if you like that sparkling wine and you want to take a look at some of the artwork at the champagne art auction. And oftentimes on Captain's Night, you might have some free drinks or some free champagne or sparkling wine as well. Number 2, make sure to bring wine on board if you are a wine drinker. Most cruise lines will allow you to bring a bottle of wine per adult on your cruise on embarkation day. So just put that in your check-in bag so you don't break it or anything like that. And in some cases, they'll actually allow you to bring more than one bottle if you like, and they may or may not charge you a $15 corkage fee at embarkation. Now, something to mention is make sure to bring a corkscrew with you or a twist-off cap. Now, when you are on a cruise, also another way to save money is if you bring that bottle of wine to the main dining room or to any of the bars and lounges, and if you ask them to open it, well, they are going to charge you a $15 corkage fee. However, if you pour that bottle of wine, if you pour that glass in your cabin, they're not going to charge you that. Or even if you have a half bottle of wine open, they're not going to charge you either. Now, I have a little wine hack, which I debated if I should even mention, but I will leave that at the end of this video if you're interested. Number 3, if you have kids, you're going to love this kids snack hack. Well, anybody can really use this hack, but if you have kids, you know what I mean. They are hungry, before bed. Sometimes they're hungry, maybe in the afternoon while everybody's getting ready for dinner in the late afternoon and they want a little snack. So this is a kid's snack hack, but anybody can use it. So make sure to bring some Ziplocs along with you on your cruise. And then what you can do is head to the buffet, maybe at lunch or at any time during the day, and give each kid a couple of Ziplocs and have them choose at the end of their meal a couple of snacks for later on. So maybe they might choose cookies, they might choose some pretzels, or they might choose some nacho chips or some cantaloupe or some grapes. So really the choice is obviously endless, some crackers, anything. Have them fill up 2 or 3 Ziploc bags with snacks that they can eat later on in the day back at their cabin. So this way you could avoid that room service charge. Yes, on some cruise lines, they are charging a room service charge. And honestly, why pay $8 or more for food to be delivered to your cabin when there's food all over the cruise ship? But if you don't want to actually leave your cabin to go and get some food, then what you could do is have those snacks. They're going to be already in portioned out snack bags and your kids will love it. Now, another little tip is in the morning in the buffet, you're going to find some cartons of milk, like chocolate milk and regular cartons of milk. And you might find some little glasses of juice like apple juice and orange juice and pineapple juice and things like that. So what you can do is you can bring those back to your cabin and put them in your mini fridge for later, because for some reason on cruise ships, they'll have different things like the lemonade and the iced tea and maybe even some fruit punch available later on, but they won't have the cartons of milk oftentimes, and they won't have like the actual real juice available all the time. So if you do want to have that, do put that into your fridge in your cabin. Number 4, research your cruise ports. Yes, cruise excursions tend to be one of the biggest expenses that you might have on a cruise ship. Now, I'm not saying that there is not a time for shore excursions, because they definitely can be worth it. However, they really do tend to add up. So you can look for alternatives and ways to save, and you definitely can. So one of the ways is to look and see if on your itinerary you do have a private island. Many times that private island, well, you don't actually have to spend any extra money on that private island, and it's pretty much a perfect island paradise. You'll have a beach, you might have a pool resort area. It is all included. Your chairs are included, so no thinking about renting chairs. It really is fantastic. You'll even have food included on the island, so like a beach barbecue with burgers and hot dogs and ribs and salads and stuff. So really, really perfect. But outside of that private island, how can you save money in cruise ports? Well, by researching ahead of time, you can find out if there's a local beach nearby. Many of the Caribbean islands, actually, their beaches are public, so you don't have to pay to get into them. Now, you might have to pay to rent some chairs on the beach so you can bring your towels and then not have to pay for them. You could just take a cab or a shuttle for just a few dollars per person. And you could still even do activities in the islands by bringing your own snorkeling gear. You could buy it from home at your local Costco or at Amazon. I'll leave some links below if you want to see some recommended items. But you could bring that, and then you don't even have to worry about doing an excursion. You have your things with you. Now, a little tip for eating when you're on the islands, because of course that can add up, and the food is already included on the cruise ship. So if you leave the cruise ship early in the morning, what you can do is you can bring with you some dry snacks. Do not bring fruits and vegetables and meats, because you can actually be fined on many islands for doing that. But you can usually bring some dry snacks. Do check before getting off the ship if that's the case. But if you can do that, you can bring some cereal, you can bring a muffin, you can bring a croissant, just something light like that. And then plan to be back on the cruise ship for midday around 1:30 or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and then eat a meal when you get back on the cruise ship. You could even get back on the cruise ship, get some air conditioning, a good lunch, change out of your bathing suits, and then walk back off the ship, where you could do a little bit of shopping in the afternoon or walking around the cruise port itself. Number 5, skip the professional photos. Now, I love the professional photos on a cruise ship, and I actually think they are a pretty good value. However, the photo package can definitely add up, and if you're trying to cruise on a budget, you definitely do not need this. Now, if you want to splurge a little bit, buy one beautiful family photo or one couple's photo, because for a professional photographer, you won't find it that expensive. It's between $20 and $30 for like an 8x10 size photo. But if you buy the entire package, it can definitely add up to $300 and more. So what can you do? Well, most of our phones have amazing cameras, so you could just take your own photos And you can definitely ask somebody who's on the cruise ship. But something else you can do is actually just bring with you a tripod, a selfie stick. They have these Bluetooth ones that are about $20. You could actually set them down, have the little Bluetooth remote, and you can click it when you're ready to take the pictures. So you can take your own couple or family photos or your own photos with that selfie stick, and then you can develop them at home if you like to. You could even make a canvas print for much less than a photo package would cost. Number 6, do you need to buy souvenirs for anybody back home or gifts for the kids? Maybe if they're on the cruise ship and they want t-shirts. Well, you might want to wait until you're in some of the cruise ports, especially if you're in the Caribbean islands. Some of the cruise ports have really inexpensive souvenirs. One example is Cozumel, where you can honestly find t-shirts for kids for $3, $4, $5, really cute t-shirts, shot glasses that are $1, different kind of ceramic items for between $1 and $5. A lot of really great stuff, all at the cruise port area. And as well, you'll find a lot of the islands have straw markets right outside of the cruise ship where things are inexpensive. Now, if you wanted to buy something on the cruise ship, you could find $10 sales on the cruise ship, even t-shirts that are $10. And usually the day before the end of the cruise line might set up maybe through the middle of the cruise ship or in one of the main dining rooms. They'll set out like an outlet sale where you can actually get some really good deals on some items. Well, provided that you want and need them, of course, but that you can pick up some souvenirs at some really inexpensive prices. Number 7. Now, this one might seem obvious, but so many people waste money by not doing this. So make sure that you bring your necessities and your toiletries and your medications from home. While you can buy a few items on the cruise ship, and I have to say you cannot buy everything, but you can buy a few items on a cruise ship, but it is going to be significantly more expensive. Like if you need to buy Advil or Tylenol, you're probably going to pay for a very small amount of it, maybe like $5 for like 10 Advil or Tylenol. So really expensive. So make sure you bring all of those things from home. Perhaps make yourself a little DIY first aid kit with Band-Aids and antibiotic ointment and your pain relievers and things like that. Make sure to bring your sunscreen and your after sun cream because it can happen. You can actually get too much sun on a cruise. Bring your lip balm, all of those necessities. Make sure that you bring them on your cruise ship so you don't waste money. And speaking of this, if you want to avoid going to the doctor for some of those small scrapes and little aches and pains, that is another good reason you want to save money by not having to go see the ship's doctor for those minor little things by bringing your first aid items on your cruise. I will leave a blog post below with some items that you'll want to make sure that you do have, that you're completely prepared for your cruise. Number 8, something else that's pretty pricey on a cruise ship is actually the ship's laundry, if they do the laundry for you, or if you need to have some of your items pressed or ironed. Now, that has happened to me before, that I come on a cruise ship and maybe we've been driving for a couple of days and we've stayed in a hotel before, and I arrive and some of my items are wrinkled. And in that case, I have actually sent items to be pressed before. It's cost between like $4, $6, and even $8 to get items pressed. So you can avoid that extra expense by bringing a little bottle of Downy Wrinkle Release. It's super inexpensive. I think less than $2 for a bottle. You just give it a little spritz, give it a stretch, maybe a little bit of steam, and you're going to avoid that extra expense of having it pressed on a cruise ship. Number 9, avoid the specialty restaurants. Now, this isn't to say that the specialty restaurants aren't really good, but if you're trying to stretch your vacation dollars, your budget, then you definitely don't need to go to any specialty restaurants, and you will not be missing out at all, because on a cruise ship, there is so much food that is really good and is included. And it's of course beyond the main dining room and beyond the buffet. So look for those casual restaurants that are included, and look for those extra experiences that happen on a cruise that might not be super obvious. So as an example, you can have your breakfast or your lunch in the main dining room and really have a bit of a special experience. You might see a special breakfast that's offered on your cruise ship, for instance, a chocolate breakfast. Or you might find in the evening time in the dining room that there'll be a section that will be an Italian night or a German night Or you might have during the day, you might have a taco station. So some really good, yummy foods during your cruise. Now, on a lot of cruise ships, they have an afternoon tea with little sandwiches and petit fours, and all of that is included. So definitely look out for all of those extra foods that are included on a cruise, and you don't even have to go to the specialty restaurants and you won't feel bad at all. Now, you'll also want to forego those extras like gelato and paying extra for ice cream, and even maybe paying extra for specialty coffee, because a lot of that is actually included. In the main dining room, you'll be able to have gelato and ice cream after your meal. Simply ask which ice cream or gelato is offered. They usually have both offered every night. You might even find these items in the buffet, and they're actually made right on the cruise ship, so they're delicious. Now, specialty coffee definitely adds up, so you could see if you could buy a coffee card or a coffee package that may be worth it for you, but otherwise coffee and tea are included on a cruise, and you can get usually pretty good coffee in the main dining room if you like. Now, if you remembered that I was going to be sharing my wine hack, don't worry, I haven't forgotten. That is coming up in just a moment. But as a reminder, if you are enjoying this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Number 10, take advantage of all the free activities on the cruise ship. Now, this can be things like the water slides. This can be things like the Zumba classes, because there are going to be things that are extra on the cruise. Sometimes there are fitness classes that are extra, but there are always so many that are included, and they're really good. We did a cardio kickboxing class, my friend and I, on one cruise that was amazing, and that was included. And yet other things are not included. So definitely look out for that. But I have an additional tip. On one of the cruise port days, consider staying on the cruise ship when almost everybody else gets off the cruise ship. That will be a day that you can really use that cruise ship, have it to yourself, especially if you're on one of those family-orientated cruise ships where they have like all the bells and whistles and activities. You know that there are going to be lines almost all the time on the sea day. But on that day, when it's a port day, when everybody gets off, you're not going to have those lines. So it's going to be a great day that instead of doing an excursion, you can stay on the cruise ship, have it to yourself, have an amazing time. And maybe that might be a nice day to actually, maybe if you are cruising with your children, give them each maybe $15, $20, $30 and let them do some of those extra activities on the cruise ship, and it's going to be a lot less expensive than if you had gotten off the cruise ship and if you had done an excursion. So an example of this might be that you want to do private lessons at one of the different, like the surfing pool or something on one of the ships, or that you might want to do those race cars on a Norwegian cruise ship. Okay, if you waited for that wine hack, here it is. You can make your very own sangria on a cruise ship. Now, you do need to bring your bottle of wine from home. I suggest you bring as well a thermal style mug, a thermal style big like coffee type cup, or something that keeps things cold during the day. And what you'll do is you'll head over to the buffet in the morning time and bring back a glass of orange juice and a glass of pineapple juice. And at the same time, bring back some strawberries from the buffet and maybe some sliced oranges, any of the fruit that you might use in a sangria. So you'll put those at the bottom of your thermal mug, and you'll put some of your red wine on that. Just let that sit, maybe put it in the fridge and let it sit a few hours, the wine and the fruits together. And then after, you can add some fruit juice like your pineapple juice and your orange juice to taste. And it is actually pretty good. And if you could let that sit for a little while, it actually gets better the next day. And you can add some more wine and you can add some more juice as you need. Now, of course, that makes your sangria, but then what do you do with it? Well, you can go up to like the pool deck or any of the different bars and you can get a glass with some ice, and then you can keep your refillable mug that you have and you can just simply pour that and you can have your very own sangria. You could even pour it into wine glasses anytime that you want during the day. So that's my little simple DIY sangria hack that I've actually made on a cruise. Now, I actually have another video that has 50 cruise hacks to save you money, pack, organize your cabin, everything, that I will leave right here for you to watch right after this video. Now, please let me know any of the tips that have helped you to save money on a cruise. Please let me know in the comments below. I know it will help other people in the comments. And if you did like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'd love to have you here in the Life of Cruise community. Bye for now, and happy cruising.